Spokesperson Maharaj says the president wants to build strong and enduring partnerships with stakeholders in South Africa to find a lasting solution to the xenophobic attacks. He added that the meeting will also look at how to better manage migration policies. But for more on this, we cross now live to our contributing editor, Vuyo Mvoko, who is in Pretoria. Vuyo, a very good afternoon to you. Migration policies cover many angles, but the fact that various stakeholders have been drawn into this meeting indicative that these attacks have touched on every sphere of society. So take us through what's expected to come out of this meeting.
Well, Natasha, more than 3 hours after the meeting started, we still have no idea as to when exactly it's going to come to an end. An indication perhaps that there are more issues being tabled there, that perhaps the discussions are more robust than people thought they would be. Because before the meeting started, a sense that we got was that it was not the first time that government at various levels was interacting with almost all these constituencies. In other words, they were clear on what the government's stance was on the xenophobic attacks. But not only that, but also that it is indeed on top of the situation. But what needed to happen was for everyone to read from the same page. And of course, if there were some other outstanding matters, those issues would then be dealt with, but not necessarily concluded at this particular meeting. So perhaps the fact that the meeting has dragged on for so long is an indication perhaps that there could be more issues on the table than perhaps some or many of the parties thought there would be, or the issues are perhaps more intricate and involved than many or most of them thought they would be. Which as to which is which, I guess we will know that only once they come out of that meeting. Natasha?
But certainly, Vuyo, the president looking to draw key stakeholders into the discussions.
Well, certainly. I mean, that is the whole point, because the idea here is that if there are still aggrieved members of society who, for one reason or the other, do not believe that government is doing enough or feel that on their own they have a contribution to make, this was the platform to do so. But from what we did, of course, pick up from what some of the constituencies wanted put on the table. For example, constituencies like Osatu believe that as much as demands need to be made from the government, there are also demands that need to be made from business. Business needs to come to the party because they believe that some of the ills that are prevalent in South African society that are encouraging certain people to be violent towards foreign nationals have very little to do with what government is or isn't doing, but has a lot to do with business, for example, not coming to the party or not coming to the party the way they should. Examples are drawn, for example, from the mining industry, which committed a long time ago to do certain things that it still hasn't delivered on. The churches have their own issues around social cohesion. They too believe that the government, for example, hasn't gone or moved far enough to actually deal with social cohesion, but also to explain the very issues that President Jacob Zuma has been talking about where we come from, why we are where we are, and the people who are responsible for putting us where we are. But concomitant with that comes the issues of whether government is doing enough to make sure that illegal immigrants do not come to the country and, for example, get used as scab labor, where the basic conditions of Employment Act are actually not even being taken into account. They lower the bar, they are prepared to settle for anything, and they can be hired and fired. People can be hired and fired willy-nilly. They want those guarantees as well, that government is taking care of that too. Small businesses, the same issue. How do you ensure that they are protected and you do not have foreign nationals coming into the townships and taking over spaza shops and small businesses without them being empowered, without them getting what they believe they are entitled to from their government? So all those issues are indeed on the table, and one cannot see any of these constituencies just letting go. So they're prepared. Each and every one of them would want those issues dealt with thoroughly, and
right,
they
Vuyo,
want answers before they probably come out of this very same meeting.
Absolutely. Well, lengthy discussions underway. It will be interesting to see what comes out. Vuyo Mvoko, live from Pretoria for that meeting held by President Zuma with various stakeholders aimed at finding lasting solutions to the xenophobic attacks, in particular looking at the country's migration policies.